This conference will now be recorded.
So, as we have suppliers for our business, so we need some goods, we need services. Now, what good, what item, or what service we have to purchase from a supplier, that also we need to define somewhere. So, for that, what we do, we create purchase items. But similar to the supplier, when we need to create some reporting on purchase items, there should be some logical conditions, logical categories again. So initially what we create is spend category. Spend category is a logical condition, a logical boundary in which we can put a purchase item. For an example, if we are going to purchase a laptop for our company, what can be the spend category? Might be IT suppliers or IT supplies item, or a category can be hardware. So that kind of logical condition we can put to categorize our items. So we can create a report after that to identify how many goods within a category we do have. Above spend category, we also have item group. So item group, similar to this supplier group, we also have items group, purchase item groups. The difference between spend category and purchase item groups is again similar to what we had in supplier categories and supplier groups. We can assign multiple purchase item groups to a single purchase item, but when it comes on spend categories, only one spend category can be assigned to a purchase item. Is it clear? Now, spend category is the required one. Similar to supplier categories, for supplier, spend category is again a required field on a purchase item. However, purchase item group is optional. It's not mandatory to provide a purchase item group. How we will create these? So let's come to create a spend category. There is a task, maintain spend categories. Now it is asking, when we are going to create a spend category, do we want some spend category hierarchy or we do not want? Wherever any hierarchy part come or any hierarchy keyword come in Workday, so always there will be a parent-child relationship for that object. Here, when we are creating a spend category and it is asking for a hierarchy, so let's say if I'm saying when we are purchasing a laptop and we said IT supplies, that kind of spend category we put, then above that might be we can a hierarchy for IT. We are going to purchase something within IT, then IT supplies, then and IT supplies, then a laptop. So hierarchy we might need somewhere to again provide a high level reporting, or we can provide a reporting from using the hierarchy as well instead of just spend category. So what we will do, let's say first we will create a spend category without hierarchy. We'll get a screen like this. Whenever we need to create a new one, click on add. If we have to update or edit a previous one, just check out from here. Now what I did, I created a new one. So Let's say we put demo training. Let's say something I want for demo training center. So what you can put might be we need to put some lunch boxes at the time of training. So we put demo training lunches. That kind of spend category I created. Now where I can use this spend category, if I'm using is this spend category for a purchase item, then what kind of usage or what kind of or where I can use this spend category. So this spend category will be available, or with this spend category, what kind of invoices I'll be linking. If I'm going to create a ad hoc payment, do I need this spend category? I'll say at the time of ad hoc payments, I do not need this spend category. This spend category should not be available for ad hoc payments. Then I said, okay, if this spend category, if I'm creating a invoice for ad hoc payments, then this spend category will not be visible. So that's it. I leave the ad hoc payments. But now I came like, if I'm doing any expenses, yes, on lunch boxes, I can do some expenses. So spend category should be available for expenses. Now procurement, if I need this spend category for a procurement process, then I need to check this. If not, let's say for any supplier invoice, I need this spend category. So I said supply invoice. However, whenever I use a procurement, supply invoice will be there by default. But supply invoice, if we select, then it is not necessary that procurement will be there. Again, it's on us if we need the same spend category within ad hoc payment or not. Right now, let's leave this without ad hoc payment. Once we'll be doing any ad hoc payment, then we will validate the same condition if this spend category is coming there or not. Okay. Then I said click OK and done. We have created a spend category. Purchase item we are not creating. Otherwise, purchase item group we are not creating. Otherwise, how to create? Maintain purchase item groups. There's a task maintain purchase item groups. You can see IT, events, office supplies, equipments, and employee resources. That kind of
Is the same
uh,
as in the supplier,
group
right?
you can have.
Supplier group, supplier right, supplier
Yes,
category, supplier group, and
yeah,
suppliers. Same like purchase,
you're right.
purchase, purchase.
That's correct. Let's say for example, we can put hardware, software. We created two more purchase item groups. Now, earlier I said we can also create a spend category using a hierarchy. We can also create a hierarchy as well. So, what we will do again, we'll come to maintain spend category, create new spend category hierarchy. Now, what? Just give it a name, demo spend category. I'm not putting anything else, but just a spend category. Which spend category I need? within this. So I put which I have created, demo training lunches. So that category I created, and now I'm putting this within the hierarchy. And I click OK. So how we create a spend category hierarchy? So there's a task again, the same task, maintain spend categories and select an option to create a hierarchy. Create new hierarchy first. When while creation of the same, it will ask to include spend category within that hierarchy. So there, which hierarchy you want to select, just select that. Which last node you want to add, just select that. Now I click OK. So I have created a spend category, I have created purchase item group, and I have created a spend category hierarchy now. Once we have these spend category and purchase group, we can go and create a new purchase item. Before, so at the time of invoice creation, we will need purchase item, and purchase item must have a spend category. Again, this is a mandatory for creating a purchase item. Sometimes we can also create a supply invoice by putting just a spend category, but we do not assign a purchase item. That will be possible as well. So while creation of invoice, we'll cover that. But putting a spend category is must. Now create purchase item. Name. Let's say lunch boxes. So what item we have created? Lunch boxes, and we need this for our training purpose. Okay. Now it if you will move to the right, there's one mandatory field which is spend category. Let me open that again. So my spend category is not visible when I'm creating a purchase item. What can be the reason? We have selected a usage. So again, check your spend category. You open a spend category here. Now let's put a procurement. Why my spend category was not coming? Because we did not select a procurement. When procurement was not there, then how? So we were not able to create a purchase item for that spend category. Whenever we will create an item, we are including a purchase item that will have some procurement process. So procurement usage we need to define on spend category while we are creating a purchase item. Okay, is it clear? Now we have procurement, supply invoice, and expenses. We have again ad hoc payments is one usage we have not selected on a spend category. There will be one example we'll show at the time of supply invoice creation when we need to select ad hoc payments. But is it clear why we select a procurement? Any question, guys? Here.
Yeah, clear.
Okay. Now purchase item group. So we can select multiple purchase item group right here. So let's say it is just related to events, and we can also define office supplies and equipments. To purchase item group, we have tagged with this purchase item. Now coming to other details. Just give me a second. Uh, okay. So what we need to provide, how we will measure this item, and what should be the unit price. So let's say this is a box. How we will measure the quantity of boxes? So we define each box. So we can take two type of quantity. Either we can put each. So each is like, we have to define like each box. This is a lunch box. So each lunch box will have some unit price. So we can define each, or either we can put just a box. So each box will have this much unit price. Here we can define, let's say this is the 3 USD. We are going to create it in USD. When we define a unit price, it asks us for a currency. Each lunch box does have a unit price of 3, and currency, now it asked, when we provided a unit price, it asked for currency, that is USD. Click OK. No other detail we have provided here, and done. So we have created spend category, purchase group, and after that the purchase item. As I said earlier, whenever we are going to do any transaction, we also need to configure conditions. Condition for what? For posting rules. Which account will get debit, which account will get credited? Because obviously supply invoice is a operational journal now. So it's not like similar to the accounting journal where we explicitly define accounts for a transaction. Here we have to configure the posting rules that this account will be hit at the time of this transaction. So that kind of condition will configure now. So posting rules we need to configure. After that, we also need to provide some condition if it is required at the time of custom validation. So custom validation also we need to define when it should give warning or alert if required. So let's start with posting rules. Open posting rules for company. Let's start proxy with Teresa first. View account posting rule. Now search out for posting rule set for your company, and these are my accounts. Now, as we are going to create a supply invoice, what account will hit spend, the accounts related to spend. So we are coming to the category spend here. At the left hand side, this is a posting rule set, and which rule set we will hit spend, because supply invoice when we
Because
will
this
do.
rules will already preset, right? We don't have to add any rules. This will be
Yeah, yep,
preset
yep.
by Workday.
That's correct. You will not any rule right here, but you will configure accounts on these rule set.
Yeah, yeah, that. Okay.
Okay. So after hitting left side, click on edit account posting rule set. We are not defining default one because we will have some conditions. So the condition is, if you remember, we created some accounts as well. So I provided a prefix like demo on each. Here is a demo 7275 course cost. So course cost was a type of expense account, and we are going to make some expenses now. We have selected course cost. Now dimension. What can be the dimension right here? If you remember, I said provide as much dimension as you can. According to that, make a sequence for this. So now, first condition, when this account should be hitted, the demo one, only when my company is the company I have created. So this company I created for this course, and now if my company is this, and I'm going to do any transaction related to spend category, spend rule set, only then this account should hit. But I need one more, so I'm going to provide one more dimension. This should hit only when I have a spend category or spend category hierarchy. On both I can create. So spend category and spend category hierarchy both are available for your dimension in posting rules. Let's check if we have something purchase group here or not. So there was a question mark in your book. If you check differences between spend category and purchase item group, and that is okay, it is also available. So you can use purchase item group or spend category hierarchy, spend category, any one of these to create these dimension. One more, what you can do, what you can do is like even spend category you can provide. Spend category is this, and it should have a purchase item group as well. If somebody is leaving the purchase item group blank, then this will not hit. That kind of condition will also be there. How I'll do this? Let's say spend category hierarchy. We have created hierarchy, so I have selected hierarchy instead of spend category. Now let's say if this hierarchy does have multiple spend categories. One we have created training lunches, and now let's say when we create a spend category office hardware, and that has a kind of laptop or asset something. Then if I'm choosing a hierarchy, if it will it means any spend category within this hierarchy will be selected irrespective it is a hardware related category or a lunchbox related category, because we are selecting a hierarchy. If anything, any spend item, purchase item is coming within this hierarchy, this account should hit. If I want just a one to one linking right here, let's say my spend category should only be lunchbox.
Akash, first we'll set the items under hierarchy, right?
Yeah. So spend category hierarchy, let's say within this hierarchy, I selected two spend categories. One, lunch boxes we have created, training
That
lunches.
we have to add under the hierarchy, right?
We have added that. We created a demo lunches. spend category. So we have selected that. Yes, you're right. We have to first include all spend categories within the spend category hierarchy. Then only we can select a spend category hierarchy here. If we are not creating a spend category hierarchy, then we can go with the spend category. Let me show you what I'm saying. This spend category might have more than one spend category hierarchy might have more than one spend category. So if any of the spend category included within this hierarchy is coming in the transaction, that means this is getting true and it will hit this. If I want to restrict this on a single spend category, then I'll not include a hierarchy. I'll go with the spend category. Then I'll remove this spend category hierarchy and I'll just put spend category here. Is it clear? My spend category hierarchy is a parent, and that hierarchy might have m- more than one spend categories. That's possible that hierarchy will have two spend categories or three spend categories. But when I need only a single spend category, which is demo training lunches, only then this account should hit. Then I'll use spend category. If I need might be training lunches or anything related to hierarchy is coming, then the account should be this. Then I'll use a spend category hierarchy. For an example, let me give you the example. I'm selecting a spend category hierarchy. Now here I'll choose, let's say, something related to this one as well. What I did, this is my training related to spend category, and within this training I need lunches for the trainees and the software as well. Some software subscription I need. Now what does this mean? Either, so right here, if only lunches are coming, if there is any expense on lunch boxes, only then this account should hit. Now if I said I need just one account for any expense related to my training, then I can use spend category hierarchy, and then that hierarchy will include software subscription as well. If I'm making any expense on software subscription, even that should go to the same account. Then I'll not use a spend category, I'll use a spend category hierarchy, because that hierarchy have multiple spend categories. Is it clear now? Any question related to this? This hierarchy does have two spend categories, software and lunches. If I'm making any payment for either of one, either for subscription or for lunch, then that transaction should be linked with this account. Then that expense should be hit this account. Then I'll use a spend category hierarchy. Uh, what else I can use is, so I have created two. Might be I can provide. Let me show what other dimensions you can use for that kind of transaction. If you are providing any ad hoc pay and you have defining ad hoc pay, then you can select this. If I am my pay is this person or this entity, then only this transaction should go to this account. Company you have already selected, spend category you have already selected. If my cost center is XYZ, only then this account should hit. That kind of condition also you can create. There are multiple dimensions you can use, and only based out this you can hit this one. Now let's say if I'll say I need one more type of filter. If my purchase item group is hardware, so what would happen? All these three conditions should match. Only then this will hit. So these three are in AND condition. This and this and this. All these three should be true. If any one of these getting false, then this account will not get hit. At this moment, if it is false, then it will give error because there is no associated account related to this transaction. This will go in error, the transaction, because this is getting failed. So this one is not the resulting account. Default ledger account we have not provided at this moment, so it will go in error. And the recommended approach for the configuration is in these kind of rule set for spend category for revenue, you should not configure a default ledger account. Why so? Because the recommended way is to get the appropriate ledger account. And how you will get appropriate ledger account? By creating the dimension and the resulting account. If you will put any XYZ ledger account here, so this condition is not getting true, it will hit that ledger account. And it is possible that that ledger account is wrong, or might be business does not need that ledger account to get populated on most of the transaction. So always provide a definite or defined ledger account for these expense related situations, any revenue related situations.
Akash, you will showing any entry,
Entry in what?
posting entry. How will post entry with
So
this all?
we'll do this transaction and supplier invoice.
Okay.
Before that transaction, we are doing the configuration. We are completing our configuration.
This
So if I'll hit a transaction right now, that and this account is not configured, that means it will go in error because I have not provided account where that ledger will be posted. Okay. So right now we are completing the configuration related to supplier invoice. And after that, this configuration will start creating supplier invoices. So we have created a okay, we have configured posting rule. Now how we create a supply invoice? Let's see what are the other details required on supply invoice. So there's a task, create supply invoice. The company, supplier, currency, these conditions, payment terms, what will be the payment term? Once we'll choose the supplier, default payment term would be visible. But let's say if coming down, do we have some work tags as well? Do we need some work tag? So that how we will check. Come to the invoices line as well. So these are mandatory field for supply invoice. Going down, it is asking us item, supplier, spend category, and for which company we are making this transaction. Moving to right, when I'm scrolling this, there are multiple other fields which we need to fill. This unit of measure unit cost will be defined according to the purchase item. Once we will choose purchase item, this will populate by default. Now here's work tags, and if I'll select here, there is no definite or primary work tag defined. It is giving the asterisk mark, that means something is mandatory, and what is mandatory is cost center. But cost center is coming in additional work tag, not in the primary work tag. When we will say this is the primary work tag, that the specific work tag will have a separate column. That means it is the primary work tag. So right here, all are in additional work tag, not in the primary work tag. So let's say my condition is cost center should be the mandatory. Even at this moment, cost center is mandatory. Let's say uh, I'll mark division as mandatory, not the cost center. Then how we will do this? One company is doing the business. That company is purchasing something from supplier, and what company wants that I'm doing this training, but that training is dependent, or this training we are doing is related to a division XYZ. There is a division organization, that division is XYZ, and we are doing a training for that. So whatever expense we are going to make, that should has a tag of that division, that we have done this expense over this division. Okay, and how we will get this? By providing a value of division. But let's say if we do not mark division as mandatory, some person will, the accountant or the transaction who is creating the invoice might forget to mark that division over that transaction. So overall purpose is not getting fulfilled. How we will do that, or how we will create this condition? So we have option for that, and that option is
Akash,
maintain.
and
Yep,
now
please go ahead.
we did end condition. If you
Hmm.
want if condition to set, then a couple of any one of the conditions satisfied, entry will be posted. Then,
Okay, so coming to account posting rule set.
and second, one more question. This all configuration will be doing in which application, and it will be moving to sandbox, or how it will work?
So these all, this is not like you need to configure in only in sandbox or in implementation. At the time when you are starting the configuration, it starts from the new or fresh implementation. It starts from P0 tenants, initial
Yes,
tenant.
right,
Then it moves to P1, P2,
right.
and before moving to production, it goes to a gold tenant.
Okay.
Then the final testing happens in gold tenant. After gold tenant gets converted in sandbox, and data gets migrated to the production.
So
So the
we will
final
work on
tenant is,
P0.
this configuration is a continuous configuration.
Yes.
Even some data will be provided in P0. If all data is not in P0, let's say work tax organizations related data,
Hmm.
this has been provided in P0, but spend category and purchase items, that data is not provided in P0. That might come in
Okay.
P1. So you will create these conditions in P1. So
Okay.
there is no definite, or there is no specific rule set for this where you need to create. Even you can create
So
in P0 if you have
ev-
data. You
every
just need to
tenant,
migrate this
every
time.
application will be different user ID login, or even I can log in I have a login user ID for P0, I can log into P1 or
No,
production.
every tenant will have a separate account for you.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Okay, so in P0 you should have access. It doesn't mean like you have in P1. If you have in P0, it doesn't mean you have an account in P1 as well. Each tenant will provide you a separate account.
Okay.
Okay, now coming to demo. This is my APR, account posting rule. So moving down, spend category. Now here, As I said, this is in and condition. If you want something in or condition, what you can do, you will create one more condition right here. If company is this and cost center is also which we have created, or the cost center which at the time of configuration client will provide to you that this should be the configuration, this should be the cost center, or this should be the company for this transaction. Now these two are in or condition. This is an and condition, company and spend category. These all are true, then hit this. If this is not true, then it will come here. Again, these are in and, this true and this true, but these two are in or condition. First it will go, is it matching this? No, then it will go to this. Is it true? Then this. If it is not true, then it will go to the second condition. Is this true? Then we'll hit this one. But whenever first true condition is matching, very important note, whenever first will match, it will provide the account and will stop execution. If this is true, then it will stop only on the first condition. It will not check for the second condition. If this is true, so if this is false, then it will go to the second one. If there are multiple mode, 3, 4, then whatever is getting true first, whichever is fulfilling first, it will stop execution on that. That's why we say, I mentioned earlier, provide as much filters as you can, and the most filter, the number of filters you have, provide that put that condition first. If I do not put cost center. Okay, now I have two conditions and both are conditions looking similar. This is company same in both, but I have just a one more condition, spend category hierarchy. Let's say I put this one on top. Now what will happen? Company is same. I'm making the transaction for this company. So always this condition will be true and this account will be coming right here. But let's say I have provided any other account XYZ, but now condition is matching, always it will hit a suspense account. But my requirement was to hit a 7275 because there was one more spend category hierarchy. You said company is same, so why this is calling just a suspense? Because there is no other condition. This is getting fulfilled. It checked for company, it is true. Then it went to 1100. It did not check for the second condition. So you need to put the condition which has maximum filters first. Now if I make the sequence, now I change the sequence, then if company is this and spend category is this, then it will hit 7275. In case company is true but spend category is not demo training center, spend category is something different, only then it will go to the second condition, then it will hit the second account, otherwise it will hit the first one, which is our requirement. Is it clear? Any question
Yeah,
related to boosting rule? Okay, so I'm removing this one. Now I need cost center and division work tax on my transactions. So what I'll do, we have a task for this, maintain work tag usage. At the left hand side, check where we want this on a supplier invoice. Do we have something related to supplier invoice? Moving down, Yes, we have a category of supply invoice. I hit on supply invoice. Then what it means, there is no primary work tag. That's why we are not seeing a column, separate column. Right now, if I go to create supply invoice, I do see only one field for work tags, which is for additional. Now what I do, I want two primary work tags, cost center and division. The error is coming because both are present in additional work tags. And now I marked, right now cost center was, so right now cost center is mandatory, but I have added the cost center in primary. I have removed from here. I have also added division as a primary work tag, so I'll remove this one as well from here. And what I did, I marked division as the mandatory, and let's say cost center also as the mandatory work tag. So these two are mandatory and these two are in work tag. So which task I have used? Maintain work tag usage. So this task I have called, and now I'm changing the work tag usage. So I have added primary work tags division and cost center. Initially there were, these were in additional. Now when I made these primary work tag, I have made one more change, which is I have added division also as a required work tag. Initially cost center was the required one only. So I hit OK. Just refreshing my screen. So when I reloaded the data of this screen, how it will look like. Now here's the change. Additional work tags. No mandatory asterisk mark here. Cost center division. I made these primary. These are coming as a separate fields. These are coming as a separate columns. And both are with the asterisk mark. That means both are mandatory now. Whenever you will create a supply invoice, these two are mandatory. Is it clear, guys?
Yes.
Did you did you see this change? That we use calling maintain work tag usage. Now, let's say this is the tenant wide. So whenever I'll create any kind of supplier invoice, it will show two work tags and these two are mandatory. But now let's say I don't want something as tenant wide. I need a configuration where it should be applicable on a specific type of transaction. So always remember, whenever we need to create work tags rated condition tenant wide applicable for all kind of transactions, all kind of supply invoice transaction, then we do using the maintain work tag usage. But whenever we need specific to some certain conditions, let's say uh, business unit is also a mandatory work tag, but business unit should be mandatory only when my spend category is lunchbox. So that is a condition. My spend category is lunchbox, only then business unit should be mandatory. Otherwise, I do not want business unit as a mandatory on all supply invoice. So what I did, I have added one specific condition that till the time spend category is not lunchbox, then I do not want business unit as a mandatory work tag. So what we will do for that, maintain custom validations. Now on maintain custom validations, again check for supply invoice rated category. So we have supply invoice. Now check there's no critical validation. Critical will give you error, warning will give just a alert message. What I do, I'll create a new validation for critical one. Description, let's say business unit is mandatory for training courses. What I did, whenever training courses rated transaction, I will be using business unit is mandatory for that. Now the condition which I'll create, so always I'll add the company first because transaction will always be applicable or rated with the company. So company, if when you will hit company as a field, you will see two options. Check out both and select which is coming as a line, document line. So I choose select company. Okay, so again, company is the instance. If you will see here, company is the instance field. So whenever you choose instance, select in the selection list. It makes execution faster. Otherwise, you can put equal to, but equal to is for string kind of. So equal to we use with the strings or text field. When you will check this instance with the text, that might not be a good. So if you remember, we created company initially. So company is the main primary
Right,
organization for
right.
financial transaction. So that company which we created, we configured, that company will be using. And
Okay,
in the live scenario, what is company? Com so you have hired for organization XYZ. Okay, you got hired in a organization XYZ. That organization is will have a legal entity. So what is the name of legal entity? XYZ Corporation, XYZ Incorporation. So that is a company. So you got hired in a company. So you are setting up your own company. Let's say uh, I'm giving interview for an company Amazon. Okay, so Amazon does have a legal entity. So Amazon US and Amazon India. I might be getting interviewed for Amazon India. So Amazon India, when Amazon India will go on Workday Financial, they will configure their own entity. So Amazon India will be a company within the Workday system. Okay, and we will do this financial setup configuration for that Amazon India.
okay,
Okay, now whatever transaction we are going to do for Amazon India, we need to do some setup as well. There will be some vendors for Amazon. Vendors might be, they might have some delivery vendors. Let's say within Delhi, they might have they have tied up with some courier or parcel companies. So they are their vendors. They will provide something to those vendors that this is my parcel. You have to deliver on this address, and I'll pay you for that. Okay, so they are the vendors. Now, whenever we are sending something like this, we need to define some spend categories. We have to define some business unit, that this is the business unit when delivery is being done, then business unit is delivery services. Which cost center will hit? Might be cost center. We have provided a cost center 1,000 for uh, delivery related to a Delhi region. Cost center also we have defined because that cost center will have a budget, and we are using amount from that cost center. We are getting some amount obviously for these kind of vendors will pay. Then we are using our budget, so we have to tag our cost center on that transaction. Now, whether on all supplier invoices, on all kind of invoices, do we need the same cost center, or do we need the cost center or not? So that is my condition rule. Now one
Right.
way is either I'll use maintain Workday usage and I'll mark cost center mandatory. So in most of the cases, yes, I need cost center on all supplier invoices, irrespective of what is or who is the vendor, because cost center for Delhi is different and cost center for Mumbai is different. So both time I need a cost center tag, because I do not want that in reporting we could not find, or that the management could not see from which cost center we use the budget. So we need to provide the cost center for all transactions. So we provided it using maintain workday usage. We marked it mandatory. But now if it is related to Delhi, then I need business unit as well. Because in Delhi, I might have two business unit. One is running from X location, and second is running from Y location within the Delhi. So from which location we send the amount to that, or we paid the supplier, from which location, from which business unit we paid the supplier, oh sorry, the delivery boy or the delivery vendor. So we need business unit also. But I know business unit is not multiple on all location. It is only at the Delhi location. It is not in the Mumbai. In Mumbai, we have only one business unit. So whenever Mumbai cost center is marked, we know which business unit was that. So we do not need any tag for that. We do not need any required field. But in Delhi, I need. In Delhi, I need which business unit was hit. So for that, we create a custom validation. Okay. So what kind of custom validation I'll do? If my company is this Amazon India, my cost center is Delhi delivery, then business unit is mandatory. That kind of condition I'll put. Is it making sense? Is it clear,
Yes.
guys? Or any doubt, please go ahead. Don't hesitate. If you have question or doubt related to this, let me know. So what, just think on that, the whole situation. Now, initially I made a company. Let's say I started configuration Amazon India within this Workday tenant. Amazon come on Workday, and we started configuring the company within the tenant. So this is my company. Now I'm saying if my cost center is Delhi, then we have field for cost center. Again, cost center in the selection list. Now cost center, which cost center? Delhi, but I'm giving the example Delhi, but right in the tenant we have created our own cost center with the training. So what I made, my company is Amazon. That means I have a legal entity within Workday. So I have used the legal entity which we created within this tenant. Now my cost center, specific cost center should be this. So this is the training related cost center which I created for this training course. But here, whatever condition will be provided at the time of real implementation that you will use. Third one, third condition is my business unit is must when these two are getting true. So what I'll do, this is a alert error message. So what I'll put, if my business unit is empty. Empty means somebody has not filled the business unit, is empty. So my condition was if company is this, cost center is this, I need a value for business unit as well. And how I will get this? If somebody has not provided the value of business unit, then he should get a error that fill the business unit. So what error message he will say? Business unit is mandatory for training center. So training center is our cost center training. Now business unit is also must. So I created a condition. If somebody is leaving this business unit blank, then error message should come. So I have created a critical message. Is this clear, guys? We created
Yes, of course.
a validation, and that validation is business unit is mandatory for training course. So what we did, if my company is the one which we have created, if and the cost center is also which we have created for related to trainings and training course, if cost center is related to training course companies which we have created, then I need a value for business unit. So in case if somebody is leaving that business unit blank, then if somebody is leaving this business unit blank, then error message should be shown on the UI that you have to fill the business unit. Okay.